What is going on, everybody? This is ronin1011 for ZTV Education, and we're coming at you today with some more Cinema4D. Today's tutorial is going to be cameras and camera movement in Cinema4D. This is actually going to be a multi-part series because there's a lot I want to talk about on this topic. But I'm going to try and keep these videos short so they're not too long and boring. Today's topic, like I said, is going to be specifically about the two cameras that you can use in Cinema4D in your logo animations. And the reason I want to do camera tutorials because I've seen a lot of animations lately, logo animations, that just kind of make me cringe. And I don't mean to put anybody down, but a lot of guys that are just starting out and starting to use this animation program and everything, you kind of need to know a few things to make it look good. Anyone who's been doing animation and graphics and stuff for a long time knows that when it comes to art, there's a finesse to it. You got to have a feeling for it, and you got to know what looks good and what doesn't look good. And in this case, camera work is a big feeling thing and a big aesthetically pleasing looking thing. You have to know what looks good and what doesn't look good and what feels good. Okay. Very quickly, if you guys don't know, I want to talk about frames per second for a second. Every frame, every 30 frames is a second, in case you didn't know that. So every 30 frames is going to be a second of video, or in our case, animation here. You can see my timeline is 90 frames, which is going to be 3 seconds. Logo animations don't need to be any more than 5 to 7 seconds, depending on what you're doing. But my logo animations aren't any more than 5 to 7 seconds. That's a second for fade in, second for fade out, and 3 to 5 seconds in the middle of what I'm doing. Okay. So basically, that's a very short and sweet animation. Logo animations don't have to be crazy. They're just to show your logo. You don't need crazy things happening. Nice piece of music, nice piece of camera movement. In fact, many professional logo animations, you'll notice, have very little to no camera movement at all. It's really just what's happening in the frame with the static camera, or very little movement. But today we're going to do some movement because I know you guys like a lot of movement, or you want to do something, And if it's 3D, you want to show your cool 3D logo because you finally got it to be into 3D. That's awesome. And I'm talking really fast because I'm trying to get this recorded in under 15 minutes, like I said before. Did I mention that? I don't know if I did. Anyway, so we talked about 30 seconds. 30 frames per second. So I want everyone to be mindful of that. That timing is everything. Timing means good. So what we're going to start out here is we're going to look at the two cameras in Cinema4D. Okay, there's the one that they call camera and the target camera. This one that they call camera, or it's called in other programs, a free camera. Okay, free camera means it's just pointing and you moving around. Okay, there's no target. It's not attached to a target, which the target camera happens to be attached to a target. We're going to do both really quickly, and I'm going to do a little quick animation to show you guys what I mean. Okay, so if you don't know how to animate, you should see tutorial on, because I'm not going to go over it very much here, but I'm going to hit my auto animate key here. Okay, actually, I'm going to put a camera in the scene. To set up a camera, I've set up my perspective view. I'm going to start the camera like that. We're going to go to camera, boom. There's a camera in the objects thing. Now I'm going to set my auto keyframe. I'm going to start a keyframe right here at 0. So it sets my parameters immediately. I'm also going to move it up to frame 5. I'm going to set another keyframe because in my years of animation experience, this acts as a backup for this keyframe, and also it gives you editing leeway. So when you render out, you can edit it. You have 5 frames to do whatever you want with, okay? Which could be a lot. You can stretch them out. They could be stills and all that stuff. So it's just something you do. So do it. Anyway, 90 frames, 3 seconds. We're going to do a 3-second animation here. We're going to go to the middle of this animation, okay? And I want to do is, I got to set this viewport to the camera view, okay? Now, again, this is a free camera, so I'm not going to go into this view, into any of these views here and move it. I can if I want, but I have the most control right now doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that like that. I'm going to move this guy down here. All right. Well, too much. Alright, I want to just, let's see, we'll do something like this. Maybe something like that, okay? We're going to do something like that. We're going to turn it like that. Alright, that's 45 seconds. Boom, let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks good. Alright, and then this is going to be three keyframe, well, 4 in my case, but essentially 3 keyframe animation. Camera animation does not have to be the least amount of keyframes you can use, the better, because cameras will always not do what you want them to do. Believe you me, that always happens. So we're going to move this like this, and we're going to shift this down. And because it's 3D, I want it to be a cool little angle, something like that. Maybe, okay, and we're going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to try and frame this up really nicely. Like I said, this is going to be a multi-part series because there's a lot to talk about in keyframes. I'm sorry, in camera animation. But right now we're just going to do that. So that looks okay. You know, boom, right there. All right, so let's see what it looks like. All right, we're going to go to the beginning. All right, so you can see it looks a little wonky. It looks a little crazy. It's because of how I moved it. Okay. Now I've done this animation a whole bunch of times, and sometimes it looks good and sometimes it doesn't. And what it has to do with the curve here. Okay. When you create a camera, you have a curve. Okay. And in this curve, you have these tangent points. Okay. Each keyframe is a tangent. Okay. But because I made 3, I can now manipulate each of these things like so, and I can smooth out my camera movement. Okay, which is very important. All right. I'll move that like that. Now, again, the least amount of keyframes, the better, because you don't have to keep switching a lot of stuff. Now, down here, okay, we have auto tangents and clamp. Now, that's just if I uncheck these things, it's going to allow me to manipulate this curve however I want, and I can make it a little smoother. I can move it down. I can move it around if I want. So I just made it a little bit smoother. Okay, whoops, pick my camera, and let's just go see what that looks like. All right. F8. Alright, so that's a little bit smoother. It's a little bit smoother. I think the problem I have is at the back end of the animation, but the problem is the reason it's doing something like that, and I'm glad it's doing that on this animation because I want to show you the reason why it's doing that is because it doesn't have a center. There's no center to it. Okay? So if I go to my top view, you can see the curve here. Okay, and you know, maybe if I can fix it a little bit by going like that. All right, now if I do that and then I go to the end of the animation and see what it looks like, I'm still in my auto keyframe, so I can move it over a little bit. Now let's do something like that. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not the best. Okay, the movement is a little jerky and stuff, and like I said before, perfect. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you that because doing an animation like this with free camera is very hard because you have to make sure everything's centered, and if you don't have the angles just correctly, then you're going to get something like this, which is exactly what's happening now. The angle is not right in you know, the way I have it in the ending, but I'm leaving it like that because I want to show you. It'll highlight the point I want to make when I start the other camera. So let's go start the other camera. Okay, we're going to start here. I'm going to take off keyframing right now. We're going to start here again. Okay, but this time we're going to use a target camera. Boom, target camera. All right, and guys, always Control S, Control S, Control S, or Command S if you're on Apple. Always Control S constantly because that will make sure that you're when the program crashes, because it most likely will. Because whenever you don't want it to, it will. Murphy's Law. You'll always have a backup. Okay, you'll always be able to do the latest thing. My hands are always on that. So anyway, so now with the target, what I'm going to do is, with the target selected, I'm going to the top view. Whoops, going to the top view, and I'm going to move it to the center of my logo. Well, roughly the center. Okay, I'm going to get out. I'm going to go over here, and I want to go. No, I'll go down here. I want to go to the front view. All right, I'm on the front view. And I'm going to move the target here, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to the, oh, no, I'm not. Sorry. Like I said, I did this animation a couple times before, but I don't want to show you guys that yet. So like I said, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to center this up. You know, let's see if I center that. I mean, that looks roughly in the center, you know, maybe something like that. All right. All right, we'll do something like that, okay? So now I'm going to switch this to camera 2. No, actually, no. I'm going to switch this one to camera 2. Camera dot 1, I guess. Cinema4D, you're so weird. Okay, I'm going to set my auto keyframes. I'm going to manually set the first keyframe, and I'm going to go again and give myself some leeway, give it auto set that one. We're going to go to frame 45 again, and now what we're going to do is I want to show you the difference between a target and a free camera is this. When I move now, check this out. If you didn't know it, now you know. It stays on target. It doesn't fly all over the place, and I have to do multiple movements just to do it. The reason your camera movement will be wonky and crappy and curvy is because it has multiple, because it's not centered. It has nothing to center on, so you have to use multiple keyframes or movements to get it there. Okay, so this happens to be pulled out a little bit. And also you see it's staying in the same range, the same distance from the target as, you know, like the free camera did not. The free camera kind of, when I pulled it out, it kind of just went wherever it went. It didn't actually stay, which is why it was kind of closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it in just a little bit to kind of maybe match. See, at 45, I want it to match that a little more. So maybe something like that. That looks relatively close. Okay, that's at frame 45. Why it didn't keyframe? Oh, it did keyframe. Okay. So you can see, boom. All right. Same movement, but it's smoother. Okay. Now we're going to finish it off, and then I'll show you the rest of it. All right. Let's go back in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down again a little more. Maybe something like that. And whoop, nope. And we're going to zoom in, just like that. Now, it's not particularly centered the way I want it. So what I can do is I can take this target, the camera target, and I'm going to move it. I'm just going to in the viewport. I'm just going to move it. Boom! Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. Now it did set up a keyframe, so the camera target is going to move, but it's not going to affect the actual animation, and you'll see that right now when I hit play. So you can see it's a lot smoother, okay, and it's perfectly centered. I don't have to tweak it. I don't have to move things around, and I always use target cameras. The only time I'll use a free camera is if I'm doing, if I'm panning across something. Okay, not even zooming in. If I'm zooming in, I still use a target camera because it just keeps everything centered. And if I have to, I can leave my camera, my actual camera, in the same place, and I can move my target. You know, I've done a lot of cool character animations where I attach the target to the center of gravity of my character, and the camera will follow, and I just animate the camera following, but the target stays, so it has a camera shake. Like camera, you know, like if the camera's chasing after a guy running. I did an animation where a guy was doing martial arts, and it was, you know, well, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so this looks pretty good. This looks a lot better. Let's look at both of them together. I'm just going to save. I'm going to turn off cameras so you can see. You can see there's that one, which looks kind of crappy and clunky. Whoops. Whoops. Stop. Sorry, guys. And then there's that one, which looks a lot smoother. Okay? So, there you have it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you. The difference between free camera, target camera. I showed you how to do... Whoops. I showed you how to tweak it a little bit. Let me turn the cameras back on here real quick. One thing I did want to show you real quick, when we look at the curves, if we look at the curve for the other camera, okay, you could see, you know, I could switch back and forth between them, but these curves, you know, the target camera curve is, you know, it's a lot smoother, and it kind of, like I said, it keeps everything on target. It makes it really really beautiful, smooth animation. However, let's go to this camera. If I wanted to change this tangent point, there's something else I wanted to show you very quickly, which I'll get into another time. Is the spline or linear or step? These are 3 different interpolations, which basically is how it's going to make the curve look. Okay, basically, I want to get into technical jargon, but if I change it to linear, boom, it makes it a nice straight line. You know, henceforth linear. If I do step, basically it's going to go from this key point to that keyframe without anything in the middle. Boom, boom. It'll just go really quickly, which sometimes you want. But spline is the nice smooth one. I'll get more into that later. I'm going to end this tutorial here. The next time we come back, we're going to do my favorite multiple cameras for a more complex camera move. This is one camera, fairly simple camera move, 2 different camera styles. And then when we come back, we're going to do that. So thanks for watching, guys. Please check out ZFX TV, ZFX Education, ZFX Fame. Please check out my channel, ronin1011. Hope you liked it, and stay tuned for more.